dry January kind of came about. I was working quite a lot. I was going out quite a lot, and I never really thought about, the impacts of alcohol. It got to the point where I was feeling really negative emotions basically, and I was feeling really guilty, which I don't know where that came from. I've done a lot of reading since then, and I was feeling anxiety, the anxiety that was surrounded around alcohol. I was tired. I was traveling a lot, and it was impacting me so much. Like, I was going out and I just didn't really think about how alcohol was impacting me. I was just enjoying my time and like going out and seeing friends and kind of just drinking what was on the table. Didn't think about it at all. And it got to December would have been 2018, I think. And got about December 2018, and I was just thinking, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'd woken up and I was feeling really guilty about, like, I hadn't texted my boyfriend that I'd got home. I hadn't texted my parents on that night. It was really silly things that you wouldn't usually feel guilty about. But I would wake up and I was like, I can't believe I did this. And it would literally not even be that big a thing. But I was just feeling such guilt, and it was so heavy on me. And that's kind of where the decisions started, and how it kind of my mindset kind of changed around it. And I started doing some research over the Christmas holidays, basically being like, right, what does sobriety mean? What does how can I, like, I was looking for resources basically that would help me in cutting down my alcohol. And I really like New Year's resolutions. It was coming up to the new year, and I was like, right, I really want to challenge myself. So I looked at Dry January, and they've got a really, really good app that helps you track. It gives you your notifications. It tells you how much money you've saved, how much weight you could have lost, all these things that kind of put things into perspective so much more than what a night out could do, or a couple of drinks could do. You're saving money, you're challenging yourself. And I really liked that. So I watched some YouTube videos. I found the Sober Girl Society, which is a girl called Millie Gooch, who runs a society on like Facebook and Instagram. It was great to see another young person who had decided to quit alcohol. So I was looking at all these kind of options, and there was a YouTube video of a girl in Ireland, and she kind of spoke about her experience and why she went sober, and she was really emotional. And I was like, it really hit me, and I was like, whoa, the impact that going sober has on an individual. So I looked at Dry January, and I looked at that, and I was like, do you know what, I'm just going to do this. So it was a new year. On New Year's Day, I'd gone around to friends. I was drinking just normally, just like Prosecco, and then it hit the bells, and I was like, right, this is it. Like, I went out anyway, and I was like, I didn't even have any more alcohol or anything like that. I was like, right, on the bells, that's me done. So I went out, I had water, I was telling everybody, I was loving it. And I started kind of tracking myself off. Obviously, my biggest fear, I think, with the kind of even just Dry January was the social side of things. I was like, how am I going to go out? How am I going to enjoy myself? What if my friends don't want me to go out? Things like that. And it was never, ever an issue. And I think I'm really lucky in that sense, because obviously people kind of did push. They're like, oh, go on. Like, they like to do that. And it's cruel. But at the time, they're like, oh, I'd love to be the person that makes them drink alcohol when they're not wanting to. Like, they don't believe in Dry January almost sometimes. And I think it's heartbreaking, really. But I loved when they would do that, because I would just bite back. And it was great, because it's like, they didn't expect me to be taking it seriously. And maybe it was my age, maybe it was, all these things they knew me from my years that I did go out. For them to then kind of be like, oh, she's taking this seriously. I think it was really interesting. And I really enjoyed the experience of being able to communicate that, and like why I'm doing it. I never pushed it on anyone. That's another thing, because I think that can create negative kind of conversation around it. I never judged anyone on anything else. I was very much just like, do you know the impact it's having on your body? Like, when I started doing research on anxiety and the impact it has on my brain, how when you're drinking alcohol, it prevents the anxiety. I'm not very scientific. It prevents, let's just say that prevents anxiety from going into your brain at that time, and then it duplicates it because it's not going into your brain, so your brain's creating more, and in the morning you've got double the amount of the, I'm going to say hormones rather than particles, the hormones. And I just find that so interesting. It makes, when you put the scientific side of things and like how it's happening, like how it's impacting you neurologically into perspective, you're like, oh, that makes sense. Or, oh, yeah, why am I doing this to myself? Like, learning more about it really helped me stop. And Dry January was really important to me, because that kind of, once you succeed in Dry January, and once you've kind of, people know you're doing it, your parents are behind you, your family are behind you, and there's so many alcohol-free options out there that I am obsessed with. Like, I'm not usually very experimental when it comes to drink or food or anything like that, but I've loved trying non-alcoholic alternatives, whether it's like de-alcoholized, or whether it's soft drinks, or whether it's like testing, like I like to make my own like mocktails and things like that. Like there's so many options out there, and you can have it in a prosecco glass, you can have it in a gin glass. Like my Harris gin glasses are my favorite because I can still garnish and put the ice and put the, it's just it's part of the experience, and you can make it your own experience. And I've really kind of enjoyed that and thrived on that, and making it for others as well. So Dry January really solidified that I don't want to do this anymore. And from, it would have been, oh goodness, so January 2019, I've completed Dry January, and I have not got back to alcohol since. I have been sober now 2 years, and it has been, I am, what I keep saying to myself, I'm saying to others, I'm just so grateful I made that decision. I'm so grateful to myself that I made that decision, and it's quite emotional. But to have decided, like, chosen on my own back, like I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't, I did read up a lot about like gray area between like not being an alcoholic and being an alcoholic. Like there's such a gray area around that. Like I really recommend looking into that, because it's interesting how society makes you talk about these things, or like the way that we are seen to almost need alcohol, especially in Scotland, for example. Like I told a guy at work not that long ago that I was sober, and he didn't believe me. He was like, there's no chance a girl from Scotland's sober. And I was like, I genuinely am. And I was just, it was one, I'm honestly lost for words when he said that, because I was like, oh, come on, like, how ingrained is it in our society? But there is this thing, I think it's called the pink cloud, where there's all these phrases, the pink cloud, where you are in that first 3 months of sobriety, where it's exciting, and it's the 3 months onwards that's the hard part, because that's where you've almost made the habit. And then it's very much like, life gets what's the word I'm looking for? Life kind of gets in the way. You get busy. You get people are kind of like, you're bored of talking about it. People are bored of talking about it, and it becomes more of a life choice. And I think that can be harder. But yeah, it's been 2 years now that I decided to go completely sober. I still love the conversations. I still love to promote. I run a community for event students and graduates, and that community, I'm able to kind of tell them openly that I am sober and I don't enjoy drinking. And we did actually kind of like, it was a gin tasting night, I think it was, with Gin and Dominic, and we I used alcohol-free gin and tonic from Co-op, which is really, really good. It's like £2.50. Like, that's another thing, saving money is great. It was about £2.50, and I was using that and using the garnishes. I was doing everything the same as everyone else. And so many people after that was like, I didn't realize you were sober. Like, I've never seen anyone else our age that is. I didn't realize not drinking was an option. And I think that's really what solidified that, the influence that can have on other young people, because I just turned 26, which is hard to, scary, but just turned 26, and I think there's not actually many 26-year-olds who have chosen to be alcohol free. It does not prevent you from going out. It does not prevent you from going to see your friends. Zzz's has great mocktails. Places have great mocktails, and if they don't, they will most likely do it for you. It's a lot more accepted now. People, it's one of those things, and I've always found it really difficult that it has been an issue, because like being alcohol free and Dry January, like bars and places find it annoying, and I hate that narrative, because there is so much potential. Like it's a market, like they can tap into that market and really provide great experience to those who choose not to drink, are like have had to quit for health reasons, are pregnant. There's so many reasons that people don't drink, and the first thing people will say is why, because it's so unusual. You don't really hear about it. So that's kind of my story and thought process around alcohol free and kind of quitting and not planning on going back anytime soon. In fact, I think it would be on my gravestone at the end. I think it's just kind of ingrained in me, and it's part of my identity now that I don't want to. And I really enjoy the opportunity to, again, experiment and talk to people about it, and kind of make you realize that you could be a mindful drinker, just thinking about it rather than just doing it, or the impact it can have on your mental health, your physical health, your everything health. There's just try it is my biggest advice. Like, just even if it's a couple of days, it's such an achievement, and there's so many Facebook groups up there that can help you. There's so many, again, alcohol-free alternatives that are just excellent, and once you kind of get into that almost a habit, kind of romanticize it. That's kind of how I had to do it in the beginning. I had to like romanticize my life without it, and I think that's my way of my kind of process of dealing with it and enjoying it and making sure that I stick to it. So Dry January is an incredible initiative. It provides you an opportunity to try something new and see how you can handle it, see what life is like without it. The fact you can wake up in the morning without a hangover has saved me so much time. In the beginning, what I wanted out of this was very much time and energy. I wanted to feel creative again because I was in a creative slump. I wanted to feel productive again because I was not productive. I was not in a good place. And then quitting that gives you the time and the